I'd like to call the order of the Pleasant Grove City Council in our work session on March the 1st, 2022. Welcome everybody here, and our first item on our work session is a presentation by the PG players to tell us what they're up to.
Okay, I'll introduce Nick Porter here. He's been working with the PG players for a little bit. Nick, his background, he's also works for Spanish Fork City. He's a fellow MPA graduate from BYU, so.
The budget we all want.
The budget we all want, Spanish Fork. So anyway, they contacted us, I don't know, a month or so ago, asking to come and want to present and get you caught up on things that they have planned, and I think get a little feedback from you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nick.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Darrington. Mayor and council, thanks. So I've known Mr. Scott for a while. When he was in South Ogden, that's where I'm actually from. And then he left and came here, and then my dad got on the city council up there and is now the mayor of South Ogden. So public service has always been something that I've been involved in and love doing. I got involved in PG Players during the MPA program when Dr. Jeff Thompson went on a sabbatical, and they asked for a volunteer to come fill in on this board. And I thought it would be a fun semester-long project, and it's turned into 3 years. And the last year of the rest of the board saying, well, Nick, you're the chair, so take us to the next level. And I said, I'll do what I can. But it's been a lot of fun. When I started, we had talked about as a board what we wanted PG Players to be, and we wanted it to be something that the residents of Pleasant Grove could come and enjoy, and to have a full season was one of our aspirations. And then we planned one in 2020, and that got shut down. But we brought it back in 2021. So last year was our first year of doing a full season, doing 3 shows. And so we did She Loves Me, and then There Were None, and The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Were you all able to come to some or all of those? Yep. Fabulous. Oh, she's here. Hello.
Hi, I brought your
Oh, perfect.
your goodies.
We do have a gift for you. I will bring it up in a minute. I think you have some color choices, but just telling them how we've been the last couple of years. So, yeah, we did our first full season last year with 3 shows, and the third show, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, is a short version. It was 1 act with the largest cast we've ever had. Right?
Yes.
It was adorable.
And we sold out every night, so it was a fabulous show, and really grateful for the talents we have in the Littles and in Tina and all the rest of the board and those that are in our cast. This year we also have a full season, and we'll be starting here very shortly as we prepare for our spring show, which is See How They Run, our fall show, Little Shop of Horrors, and then our winter show, which will actually be a full show, is Nutcrackers.
Oh, really?
Yes, so we're very excited for this season, which is our biggest season, 3 full shows, and we're gonna see how we do.
Yeah, Nick's really excited. I'm a little nervous. Going straight from Little Shop of Horrors into Nutcrackers, 2 full shows.
Is it because you have to perform in all 3, Tina?
No, this year I know because I have to design and repaint and reset all of the shows, exactly.
Yeah, we'll be doing auditions while we're running Little Shop of Horrors, we will be auditioning for Nutcrackers, so it will be a big undertaking, but we're excited to do it. This year we sold season tickets. I wish I had the number of how many we sold, but we sold a good number of those. So for $40, you can come to all 3 shows, and we still have that for sale.
Oh, do you?
We do, yeah. So you can get that through our through our
Let's say
website.
through the run of She Loves Me, because you hit that show plus the other two.
Yeah, see how they run.
Or see, whatever, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever show that one.
Right,
Starts with
the
an
running.
S, I don't know, it's all a blur to me.
So we're very excited about that. We also saw the announcement of Hale Center Theater moving here, and are excited that I think that will be a rising tide for all of us. And hopefully we'll be able to develop a good working relationship with them and benefit from their presence and really legitimize who we are as the PG players. So that's really where we've been the last couple of years and where we're headed. We during the summer we'll meet as a board and look forward for what we want to do in the next season and get 3 more shows put together. I think that's probably something we can sustain is 3 shows a year, but we'll see how this year goes. These are no small feat to pull these off. But we have amazing talent and are really, really grateful for the support that you've given us over the years.
Do we want to talk about, have we talked about the capital improvements to the theater?
No,
Or the tech-
I will turn that to you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Awesome. So one thing that we'd love to do, and this is, I wear 2 hats. I wear Arts Commission hat, lead hat, and you'll see me tonight again at 6 o'clock when we have new members sworn into the Arts Commission, as well as PG Player Technical, kind of with Howard. One of the things we are looking to do with the theater is improve the lighting system to bring it into the what century are we in, 22nd? Something?
Almost.
Whatever, we're in the year 2022, to do a new lighting system, to make it LED, so we'd have color choices and get rid of the dark spots on the stage. So that is a big undertaking, and that would be using the CARE tax fund money to do that. It also requires rewiring the theater and a lot of electrical work and getting all of that worked out. Also fixing the sound system. As in the last few recent years, if you go, it kind of pops every once in a while, and we hadn't figured that out, so I think we're going to end up rewiring, again, the whole system there. Not as expensive as the lighting system. But those are the 2 kind of capital projects that are the big projects that we like to do in the near term. The challenge is getting the parts. So we may start with the sound system this year, and then we'll do the lighting when we can get parts in, because it's I hate to say, most of the stuff's coming from China, the lights and the equipment. So that's been a challenge with the COVID years to get those equipment. So we'll keep you posted, and I know we'll keep Scott. We've been working with Scott on the budgeting of that and everything, so we'll keep posted on those improvements to the theater.
But our biggest and really our only ask of you tonight is, what is your vision as a city council of PG players? I think we kind of have where we think we want to go and what we want to do, but what are you envisioning? What do you see as the role of PG players in the community?
Council?
I would say, I love that you're doing 3 full shows. And I don't want you to be nervous, because we've heard from Dennis,
Yes, I'm sure you have.
who's nervous about the Hale Center Theater. I think it's, like you said, it's only going to enhance what the PG Players has to offer, because our community needs as many arts options as possible. And it's already been a tradition for what, 50, I mean, I'm 50, 30?
40 years, something.
Okay. It's such a long-standing tradition in our community. I don't think anything could come in that would deter people from going to PG Players. People want that small, intimate experience, and I think that's evident because now you're going to 3 full shows. You continue to sell out, you continue to provide value to the community in that way. So I just don't want you to think that because they're coming in, I think it's only going to enhance the arts in our community and give just more people variety. So I love that you're moving forward. Obviously, it's a huge success because you're able to do those 3 full shows. And I have a tradition that every time I go, I get a picture with Dennis, and I think we have so many over the years. But I look forward to them. I'm so excited for Little Shop of Horrors. It's awesome. So I think you guys did an amazing job. The only thing I would like to see is that you provide gift cards, because I like to give those as gifts, like for Mother's Day. I like to give like an experience for, and so I give one to my mom and my mother-in-law, and they actually go together. But there hasn't been a way to, like June has to, and she's so sweet because she prints them out and brings them to my house. But I would love to promote that, that people. She does. Yeah, she's so sweet.
Yes,
I get hand delivery. But if there was a way to do that, that you could send someone a link or, a card that they could take so June doesn't have to do that. I want to be able to promote that for you, that this is a great gift idea, because every time they've gone, they've absolutely loved it. So that would be my only suggestion, is find a way we can help you even more by promoting them as a gift, so.
And I'll mention last year, we actually switched our vendor for who hosts our tickets. And we've really loved our experience we use the arts people now. They get it. They were very helpful as we did staggered seating and season tickets and donations. And I think we can figure out a way to make that
That'd be
happen.
awesome. I would love that.
Huge advocate for the arts. I've been to all the shows. Yeah, it's Hale Center Theater and PG Players. That's a different model, and I go to both. So my feeling is, let's continue to build. Let's continue to deliver. It's a great community theater. So.
My one, what's been interesting with the announcements from the Hale is the comments of like, we're so grateful to now have live theater in PG, and that hurts my heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know.
And so that's why I started posting, we do have live theater, and that's always
Yeah.
been like the biggest comment that we get is, we had no idea this great theater existed. I'm like, I don't know how we get the word out.
Yeah.
We got to do a better job at that.
And that's something
Yeah.
we can help you with. It's kind of like the best kept secret in Pleasant Grove. So I don't want too many people to know, because I might not be able to get tickets. No, I'm just kidding. I want the seats full every time.
Extend runs, potentially.
Yeah.
But I think
Especially
it'll,
selling out every night.
Yeah,
that's what
if
we're
you,
gonna
you
have
know,
to think
you're
about.
doing a good job. If you, the last one you sold out every night, how many seats do we have over at the Christensen Theater?
106.
That's
106.
Yeah.
But I-
So, you know, we can't sell it too much, because,
We'll just add runs.
We have to
Yeah, we'll just add nights.
but I think you market it as that, a small intimate theater. You market it as that, you know?
That's what we thought. Yeah, you come to PG, because you're right on top of everything
Yeah.
when you come see a show at our theater.
And a good one at that, because last week I went to a show in a different city. I loved looking through the playbill and seeing 3 of the actors that had mentioned they'd been in shows at PG Players. I thought that was fantastic. And then, it was a small theater, and it was okay. The performance, and the 3 that had been through our theater did a great job. And I'm not going to mention the city or the show.
But dismal, I think that's the word you're looking for.
Because I know this is public record, but it's quality, intimate, and
Yeah.
small theater that really brings these shows to life.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
anything else, council?
Amen.
Yeah.
It is
It's great.
a rising tide, so.
And I think, maybe this is something we take offline. I know we give money to some other theater groups in the city that may not be in the city anymore. And we may want to look at allocating some
Yeah,
more money.
we'll talk
To
about
help
that.
you with your needs, yeah.
And that, so Arts Commission hat, and maybe this is maybe a different forum, I would love to talk with you about the care tax and support. And I think that's one of the big concerns with the Hale coming in. They are funded a lot from their Orem City care tax. And we don't have a ton of money. We have, to be honest, our regular runs, we maybe use 5,000 of the 25. I mean, I'm talking about all the arts programs that we run
Yeah.
in the city. So we have a surplus, but there is a concern that Hale will come in and eat up all the care tax money, so that.
Oh, your allocation's still good, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So that-
Don't worry about
Yeah,
that,
that's-
okay?
Dennis is-
We're not,
I don't know.
Yes.
no, we're good, and like Todd's saying, maybe we need to see if we increase it or something there, so anyway.
For you,
Yeah.
for PG Players.
So we'll see. As of the biggest thing, the biggest expense, it's gonna be probably about 30,000 to do the lights. And about, I don't even know, the sound, couple thousand. It's not that much for sound. But that's like our bit, other than that, it's maybe 3,000 a year.
Okay,
It depends. If we have to rent film quality plants for Little Shop of Horrors, that's gonna be at least $3,000 for the run of our show.
Sid has some
Throwing that
that
out
she
there.
can. Just go up to Sid's house and get what
I've
you
got some
need.
Get a
props.
hold of, but it's
Yeah, but
gonna
how
cost
cool
us-
would that be?
Pardon?
But how awesome would that be?
I know. The problem is it would take up probably half our stage because it was built for a big stage, but it could be so awesome.
Yeah, you do an amazing job, both of you,
Yes.
so thank you.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Tell the Littles and Dennis, thank you. In what? No, I'm kidding. That's not a joke. I actually contacted Tina.
Were you going to audition?
I was.
Really?
Let's give one to everybody.
Why don't you?
I'm traveling internationally during some of the runs, so.
So these are small decals. There's different colors if you want to go through and
Oh,
pick what
thank
color
you.
will fit your car best. But
I'm telling you, that's how we sell tickets. Council members are in the play. People will come, if nothing to laugh, but it could be a rather humorous.
Thank you.
You could sell tomatoes.
I used to act, I would consider it too. Todd, if you audition, I'll audition.
Yeah, this one I can't, but
Nutcrackers,
No,
here we
I'm
go.
gonna save the city and not audition.
Colors, what are we talking about?
well, again, thank you for your support and continued support and letting us come tonight. We appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to item number 2, Scott.
Okay, our next item is following up on some feedback regarding what we call the interchange area, but probably more specifically, property that is borders I-15. There's about 50 acres there that is probably going to be developed somewhat soon. And we talked about what we want to do in regards to design standards out there. The history on this is we used to, for the actual interchange zone, we had different, well, that and the commercial sales zone, we had different districts of different design themes that we used to have. And I think Daniel sent you an email that outlined what we used to have. And then a few years back, we were requested at the request of a developer to make those a little bit more broad, in essence, to broaden what they could do as far as the design standards. And I would say from my recollection of that event, it was a little bit of a different time here in the city. I don't know if development was just kind of starting to come back after the recession, and so I think the council was making some concessions to help kind of prime the pump with some of the development. As we all know, there's plenty of development now in our community, which we're grateful for. But this is an opportunity for us to take a look at those design standards and say, okay, do we want something a little bit more robust, specifically for that 50 acres? And there's a couple ways. One, we'll set the design standards, but we've also had a discussion about creating a specific zone for that, so that we don't necessarily have to change everything up for what's already been out there and make things non-conforming, but saying, okay, we're gonna make a specific zone for this. So what we're asking from the City Council today is for some feedback on that. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel. He's going to walk through just quickly what our current standards are. He'll walk through quickly what the old standards used to be that we changed from. And then he's going to show you some photos of other areas and potential things. We're not going to get in today into the discussion of getting specifics on the types of surfaces or the percentage of windows that we want and things like that. What we want more of a general feel from you as to kind of where you want to head with this. So with that, I'll turn it over to Daniel.
Mayor, Council, so right now we have, every single time I present about the Grove District, I like to call it the jewel of the crown of Pleasant Grove, like the area with the most increased requirements that we have in regards of architectural standards and landscape requirements. However, I sent you guys an email yesterday where I kind of I'm gonna bring up I attached 2 documents, and I'm not gonna get into details, but in reality, Even though that's the area or of the zone of the city that has the most intense requirements, what we have is pretty small, pretty broad, if I might say. And we have been relying on our design review board and in a lot of the good faith of the developers to give us some good-looking buildings, if we can call it that way. Okay?
You actually can say good faith of the developers?
So again, the requirements that we have, they're not pretty, they're not very restrictive or detailed. That's the word that I'm going to use. They're not very detailed. Okay, as Scott mentioned it before, we used to have a design districts in the Grove, and each design district has its own requirements in regards of landscape, colors. This one was actually pretty detailed. We had 3 different districts. We have the first one was called the Green District, I think it's called. Let me see, the Mountain District, sorry, it's called the Mountain District. And we have all these are regulations for the Mountain District. And they're pretty specific, how we want the rooftops, how we wanted the exterior materials, what was the theme. Then we had something called the Garden District. Okay, the Garden District was pretty similar too, right? We were asking for like very detail-oriented, we can call it that way. We were talking about the type of pavers that we wanted, the type of colors that we wanted. And also we have something that it was called the Interchange District. The Interchange District, we can see right here some very detailed architectural terms in regards of design, okay? So that doesn't exist anymore. We eliminate that code and we revert to the very broad, small, not very detail-oriented type of requirements, okay? So it looks like we have in the books a new property to develop, and again, as I like to call it, the jewel of the crown of Pleasant Grove. And I've been doing some, getting some images, something that I want to show you guys, something that we really, that I think we should do is to create do some placemaking, create a place, something that we all can feel proud of it. And I have these, let me see these images that I have right here. I want to show you something. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this project. This is just an idea or an example of something that can be achieved. This right here is I-15. This is the freeway. This development, we can see, it's a mix of different commercial uses. There's a lot of retail, but there's also a good mix of architectural and design standards. If we can take a look at all these buildings are, I'm going to show you pictures from the actual buildings, but these are just normal strip mall type of buildings, the big squares, and that's it. But here, then we got the parking in the middle, and here, the developer was able to create a place. That's in planning is called placemaking. So there's an area where families get together, an area where people experience not just shopping experience, but also entertainment experience and some of working experiences, and there's even a college around that area. So I want to show you a couple of pictures that I have. Well,
Can you stay on that just for a second?
yes.
So this is Farmington Station. I think most of you are familiar with Farmington Station, and I think what Daniel's pointing out here, and I think this is important for us to keep in mind, is when you look at this is the high features, high architecture, really kind of the high-end part of it. This is kind of the gathering area where they have a fountain and they have a playground and places for people to sit. This over here is not, the architecture is not the same as this right here. So what this is right here has less architecture. So this is a concept that we can discuss because we're talking about 50 acres. Do we need all 50 acres to be kind of the high-end architecture, or are we okay to have a little bit of separation where we have some retail that would be pretty standard architecture, and then we kind of have the high-end thing. That'll be something that we can discuss and get some feedback from you. But this concept here, the one, Mount View Village, also in Riverton, has the same concept. They have the basic retail, which is basic architecture, and then they have kind of a part of that development that's a little bit more high-end.
Okay. The next image actually is a little more looking into the high-end portion of it. So the first image, as Scott mentioned, the purpose was to show that there's room and there's ideas and there's space for everything, right? But when we focus a little bit more into the high standard architectural, we end up with a place similar to this, with a water feature, a park, a very well heavily landscaped areas, and the type of buildings that we're gonna see right there are different, or they're buildings that our code, as how it's written right now, will not require those buildings, but code can be written to achieve that type of a style or that type of architectural standards.
Daniel, just a question. I mean, are we looking at, you know, code and this just help me, right? Code restrictions to determine what type of buildings, or are we looking at architectural and design features that we are only allowing in that zone, right? I mean, are we talking, do you understand the question?
When you say type of buildings, are you talking about retail?
Well,
or-
I mean, you're showing us a kind of a layout, right?
Site plan.
A site plan or a layout, right, of different types of buildings. I think for me, I'm more concerned about the commercial design features that we're going to allow there. The type of bricks, the type of stone, the type of look, the type of feeling, right? The type of atmosphere. It's not necessarily, for me, it's not the layout. I don't quite care about the layout. I care about the architectural and design features of commercial buildings.
Got it. Both of them, actually. I think they need to synchronize very well. What we're talking about are designs for the site and also designs for the actual structure for the building. So they both need to be compatible, or it ends up not looking very well.
So do we have a city architectural design, commercial design features that is documented?
Yes, yes, there's.
And what was that the document that you showed us previously?
No, that's what we used to have. It's
Okay.
pretty similar, but I'm gonna jump to the next images, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna help us a little bit.
Okay.
If not, I'll come back to that question, but I'm gonna show you this. Because what I showed you just barely was the aerial view, and now we're gonna actually look into sorry, we'll come back to that one. That's how it looks on a street view, okay? So if we can take a look at this type of buildings, and the images don't look very clear. I always worry about that. But the colors, for example, from this building are different than this one. The variations of materials are completely different. Look at this image right here, for example. That's the same place. That's the same place. We have a building right there. Is attached, so it's the same building. However, there's just between these three stores, there's three different architectural styles. Just here is different. The type of windows are curved. Here we have, again, different type of windows. The buildings are not all at the same line. There's some separations on it. There's some setbacks. The colors are different. The materials are different. And I think when we approach something like that, for example, and we can write code, there are cities that have code written like this, but we can write a code that says, for example, that for X amount of frontage, we will require 3 different styles, or not the same style can be repeated after X amount of square footage. So we can create something like that. We don't have that right now. We don't have it. But if we want to create something like that, it's achievable. We just have to write code that gets to that point. And then,
Okay, question while you pause on that one. My question is it a design feature, for example, or is this a code thing where when I'm driving on the freeway and I'm coming down, I don't want to see rooftop. I don't want to see just roofs. So is that a design or is that a code?
Or is that architecture,
Purpose, but
right?
Well, the code is what outlines exactly what we want the design to be. So we decide the design that we want, the materials, the look, And then we
height.
write that into code.
So where is height?
It's in the code.
Okay, so,
Height is a code,
Yeah.
okay,
and design guidelines can be just as effective as code. You just adopt them by resolution as design guidelines for that area. Or you can put them in the code,
Yes,
okay.
you can put them in the code.
either way. And we've done it both ways. If we have
Mm-hmm.
adopted design guidelines for downtown, but they're a separate thing that we adopted by resolution. They're not necessarily in.
Okay.
So we can do it both ways. I've seen codes that are like this big because they go to every single detail, the type of roofs, the type of materials, the colors of the brick, that we talk about variations in buildings. The code can be written in the code, or we can have in the code something that says, for example, follow the architectural of the turn of the 20th century, and then we adopt a pamphlet or a document that just talks about that and has examples of that. So we can either both ways, but pretty much everything can be drafted into a code. Okay. Here's another example. Same thing. For example, in order to achieve that type of buildings, we can do it in the code, or we can adopt a document with just design standards. But what I'm saying is, it is achievable. We can do something like that. I've seen cities doing something like that.
So when, so legally binding, here's what you have to accomplish in the code, and then is this a design standard as a suggestion, or is this still legally, okay?
Yes.
It
It's
hasn't
almost,
too much
it's
teeth.
almost like we're going back to a hybrid system, what we had before, that we have in the books now, right? Of the different zones, but showing what you have, right? I mean,
What I have?
maybe we should have stayed with,
This is what we used to have. For example, this is code. This is how our code was. And our code, for example, talk about all exterior building materials colors shall be earth tones. That was in the code. So they need to, that's specific. They need to be earth tones for a specific district. In the Interchange District,
Okay.
we change it.
Well, and I, get more specific,
No, I don't want one color.
but earth tones is more, I mean.
Those are earth tones.
tones.
It's earth tones.
No. So that's really, really restrictive.
Yeah, but I like that, because I don't want like a blue building.
Yeah, earth tones make sense. What I'm looking for is
That's very monochromatic to me.
is real detail around the type of stone,
Yeah.
right? I don't want blue stone. I want earth colored stone, but I want a design look that's probably done by a designer that says, these are high end. This is a high end zone that has high end features. And so I'd love to see. I haven't seen our commercial design features for the city. I'd love to see that.
They're very broad. They're not that specific. That what we used to have was more specific. For example, right there, a material that was allowed castle stone accents. So and when it's always we read it like that, and for us doesn't mean a lot, but for an architect or a designer, they exactly know what castle stone accents are. So this one it was very very detailed in many ways. For example, right here, and I don't know if I should get into the details.
For example, doTERRA would not have been allowed.
Why?
well, they went above, I believe, they went above
Yeah,
what was
But in
required.
the beginning, they were not.
To Diana's point, they did not meet our design standards.
Correct,
We
but-
gave them a waiver.
Because they didn't have stone, or why?
Well, yeah, they didn't meet the
had too
specifics
much
to the
metal and they
theme
had too much
that was
glass.
outlined. And so they brought to us and said, this is our elevations, and so we waived the requirements and said, okay, we're comfortable with what you're building there. So that was, that was probably the first step to the change of stepping outside of the districts. And then it was soon after that when we just changed them altogether.
To that point, let me explain what happened with doTERRA a little bit. So in reality, we only have 3 districts for the entire grove.
Right.
So doTERRA was in the same district as every single building around right here, okay? And then another district was a huge chunk of land. Right now, what we are proposing is to create one district just for the interchange.
Okay.
And it's gonna be, this is a name that I thought of it. It could be called Regional Retail Subdistrict. Regional Retail Subdistrict. So the rules that we'll be creating will be for this specific. What happened with doTERRA is that probably wouldn't meet the standards of any other place, but because it was in the mountain district, it was different because the area was way bigger. This will be way more focused on only the regional retail sub-district will encompass this area right here that I'm delineating with my mouse. Okay? So the rules and regulations and standards that we'll design will be applied for that area only. So it'll be very project specific, if you want to call it that way. Okay? That's what I have, Mayor and Council. I don't know if you guys have questions. Is this
So what do you need from us?
Well, we just needed the feedback. Are we on the right direction with the three different types of architectural styles? Because we'll come back with you with the details of the type of stone and the colors and the earth tones.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm looking for.
Okay,
is
you-
what type, right?
Like
I
a
mean,
visual of,
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done some research just on commercial design standards, you know, and I think that's where we need to go. We gotta look at commercial design standards around the Intermountain West, specifically in Utah, and what is appropriate in 2022.
okay? Look
Well,
at
so, sorry, let me follow that. So Todd, as you researched that, was because certain design standards are different places in different cities, because we're looking for a higher end, right, is my understanding. So when you went through all that, was there kind of a higher end type
Oh, yeah.
stuff that you were
Oh, there's
researching?
tons. Oh, there's-
Because I'm
this'll-
assuming
This'll
it's,
keep you busy for months.
yeah. 'Cause
No,
I'm
that's what I
assuming
thought.
it's out here, and we're trying to get to here.
Well,
right?
but that's what's kind of neat about commercial design standards for Boyer, right? Commercial design standards for Center Cal, commercial design standards for, you know, pick a high-end developer.
Yeah.
Go find their commercial design standards.
So
That's-
but it's still, what's very important is also the team. And maybe I'll need a little bit of guidance because I can bring 5 or 6 of them. But what's the goal of the theme, the theme that we want to achieve? Because that building also is like high quality standards for that building.
Design, commercial design, so architectural design. So if I look at that could be an architectural design that we adopt. It could, right?
Okay.
It's probably not one I would choose, right? Which is why I'm kind of saying, this is what we need to see, right? We need to see that this is what we want to have happen, or this is not what we want to have happen, right? If I look at commercial design standards for Boyer, they build a very high-end commercial building that's architecturally pleasing in 2022. Center Cal's kind of the same way. I think we want to be able to kind of say, we're okay with this look and feel. We don't want a sterile type looking square building down in the Grove.
Correct. And let me see if I get this. Would that help if I bring like the language and then an image and say, this is what the language says and this is how it translates to?
Yeah, but I think, Linden, for example, Linden has a 48-page commercial design, so just our neighbor, they have a 48-page commercial design standards that they publish that talks about roofing and landscaping and lighting and walkways and stone and stucco and paint and, so they have these design standards. I think that's what we're looking for is what are the design standards that we want, not only in the city, but specifically in this zone that you're outlining.
Daniel, we have something that we went through with the downtown zone, right? It's very similar, very in-depth, right? But this would be quite a bit more. It's too bad we went away from what we had because we could have added to that more, right? Because we were told that it's too restrictive, right? But it's actually, if you look at it, it has some good features that we want, so yeah.
And I think it's important it's updated. The design features that we maybe wrote 10 years ago or something, yeah, those wouldn't be the same.
Well, and I want something that's gonna look good in 50 years more. So, and I know that when we do that high end, those are the materials that are probably going to make it
Correct.
that long.
Yeah.
But I want it classic. I love the idea that you had of having, here's the verbiage and this is what it looks like, with a picture right next to it, so that we could all just say, so that would help.
Yeah, I think.
I just want it tall
Linden
enough
does
along
that.
the freeway, so I don't have to look at a roof.
Linden does that very well. If you need a copy of it.
We'll take a look at that.
I think the visuals are what's going to help because we can talk about it, but my idea of steel and windows might be different than yours, and we just need some commercial buildings, I think, to get
Yeah,
like
we'll
current
never agree
ones.
Well,
as a
that,
group on one.
but
Yeah.
that's what's kind of neat about these commercial design standards that cities and commercial builders develop. They say, this is what the window looks like, this is what the pop-outs look like. Not necessarily we want to go that deep, I'm not sure we do, but we can, you know, we can adopt something that makes it look very, very high-end, as Diana said.
And I think doTERRA is a good example of what I would like. I love the doTERRA building. I think it's beautiful.
Stunning.
It's classic. I mean, so if that's a starting point, you know, I like that. I think it's beautiful down there.
And
so.
the fun theme of that going, you know, then traveling
Throughout.
along the boulevard.
Yeah.
So Daniel, on Farmington Station, maybe Scott would know, is that a separate design standard for Farmington Station, do you know? In Farmington?
So Farmington Station was developed by Call Center, and a lot of the design standards and the architectural were imposed by themselves. So
Okay.
they have high standards themselves and
So
how
they
they
went
do it.
above
They
what
by
Farmington
far,
was
by
asking
far,
for.
by far.
Well, they were planning on doing that with us too. I mean,
Yeah.
they were gonna do their thing, regardless of what our code said. They were gonna go above and beyond.
So I think that's what we want. We want to up our code so anybody coming in knows, hey, we want a little better project.
Okay, so we want to upward code for sure. I can start working on it and get some drafts and images on how things are gonna look, and I'll take a look into the Linden one. Yeah, so we'll come up with some examples.
Okay.
Okay, more specific examples. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for Daniel? I think he's got his marching orders.
We'll have that done by tomorrow.
Is
Thanks,
this-
Daniel.
Is this something, though, that we need to move somewhat quickly on?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, this is one of the higher priorities that we'll look at.
Okay.
And actually, I'm okay with like an email that just says, which one do you like more?
Yeah, A, B, C, D, yeah, or something like with buildings.
Okay.
And I've sent Daniel, Scott, and Tina the design standards of Linden. But I'm not saying that we want to adopt that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
That's a
just-
good start.
It's the concept of what we need to see.
Yeah, Park City, for example, has some really
Exactly. Perfect.
exciting ones and very detailed ones too. So we'll
Yep.
take a look at them. Probably that's not the style that we want to, but it will give us an idea. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, we'll turn time back to our director, to our city manager, and we're gonna hit a few of the, not any of our hearings tonight, but some of our other things, so we don't waste, we'll use our time here a little bit on some of our action items.
Yeah, in our city council meeting, we do have, in essence, a hard stop at 7:30. That's when we're gonna be starting our interviews for our public works director. So there are a few things that I wanna cover in this meeting, so that when we get to our city council session, we can just ask if there's any other comments and move towards action. So I'm gonna start more towards the bottom of the agenda here. We do have Morgan, awarding Morgan Pavement Maintenance Crack Seal Services a 3-year contract with a unit price, so that in essence, whenever we need them to do whatever project, we already have the price locked in. This was through a competitive bid, and we can do that. Aaron, is there anything, you want to come up and maybe answer any questions on that? Did I cover it, or is there
I
something
think he did a good job. We did do a competitive, this wasn't just a bid, this was a kind of a selection, so they gave us a proposal, and then it was not based on just the low cost. It did come down to two individual companies, and then Morgan was the one that had a much lower cost than the other one, although they had the same or
Aaron, do
close
we
to
have like
score.
a plan that goes along with this? Like a crack seal plan? Like, are we hitting certain streets every year? Or are
We're
we just
trying to-
going around the city?
Yeah,
and-
we're trying to get around the city. We're kind of working on our 3-year plan. I know we put that out last year, and we'll be updating that again this year. The plan is to get into updating that this spring and summer. And a lot of the crack seal that we'll do will be some of those roads that are on there when we're doing like the HA5, which we do quite a bit of, that is very helpful to help preserve the pavements. We're also gonna just kind of work with John, our street superintendent. He knows those streets better than anybody, and he'll kind of help us identify. And we have kind of a dollar amount that we have in mind that we have planned to spend in the pavement management that's above and beyond just for the crack sealing and things like that. So that's what the purpose of this is, to spend that money and do the right treatment in the right road at the right time.
Any questions for Aaron?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. That, we'll now go talk about H, about our noise.
I'll cover this unless Tina feels she needs to walk. In
well
essence,
drilling.
we're drilling a well down in the Grove, as you're aware. There are some times that they will need some nighttime work and be able to work while our noise ordinance is in effect. And so in order for them to work during those hours, then the council needs to give approval. It's a permit to exceed noise restrictions. So that's what that is. Tina, anything you need to add?
No, I'll explain it when it's on the agenda.
Well, we want to explain now, so when,
Most of the stuff is in the whereas clauses about why they need it.
yeah.
But it does have to do with the fact that when they're drilling the well, they have to go 24 hours a day until it's done. And then when they do the pump testing as well, there's gonna be about a week there where they're gonna have to go all the time. So it's a fairly wide date range, which made me uncomfortable, but I tried to narrow it as much as possible in the.
Is it really, really noisy, or is it?
The decibel level is still, reasonable.
Oh, okay. It's just that over 24 hours.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
just at night, where normally by 10 o'clock they'd have to cut down to 55. They're allowed to keep it at the daytime.
Okay.
And
long as
they're
we
also
don't-
putting in some sound walls
Yeah,
over
there's
on
some
that side.
mitigating stuff that they're doing. I don't have the details on that. I think Aaron does. But they are doing some mitigation so that it shouldn't affect the neighbors as much as it could.
Great, okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
So is there, I mean, the idea is we'll cover it all here so that when we get to the meeting, we can just.
any questions on that, council? Okay, we'll move to G.
Okay, we'll have Dion come up and work us through item F and G
F and G.
regarding our cemetery.
So in the ordinance change, which I believe is F, we're changing two things. We've had a problem in the past where we've had a resident that's lived here and they go to a rest home or, assisted living type place, and then they've died within the year or so, and then they have a hard time claiming residency. So that's what this describes, is we're giving them a year once they've moved out of their home into assisted living or a nursing home. They pass away, they're still declared a resident. The other thing on the ordinance is we're not allowing any double deep disinterments anymore. They're just too dangerous. We're down about 12, 14 feet on some of those. And we have some old sections in the city or in the cemetery. And when we get down digging, there's places that we dig with the teeth of the bucket on the backhoe, just because we don't know exactly where they are. And then some of them are old wood vaults and some old brick, like adobe type brick vaults. And so once we get down into that double deep, you're pretty tall. It's a huge safety issue. So we're just recommending, there's not, as far as I know, there's not another cemetery that allows a double deep disinterment. So we would like to recommend that one.
Dion, just so, interesting fact. I'm not sure I'm gonna get into this, but, some cemeteries, do allow double deep,
Correct.
specifically up in Utah, up in Salt Lake. If we're limiting, we have some limitations on our cemetery anyway. Does it make sense to keep the double deep disinterment? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Disinterment, but putting requirements on cement vaults, et cetera.
Well, I think that's one of the issues we have is back in the old days, they didn't have those. And so that's, you know, we do require, it's a state law, that they have a concrete vault. Once we move into the newer sections of the pipe plant, if we get to that part, we will no longer do double deeps.
Well, no, I guess that's what I'm asking. I mean, should we be doing double deeps? I mean, I know a lot of cemeteries do allow it. It's a cost savings for our residents.
It is.
It's you know, the fact that you can do bury this way instead of this way reduces the amount of land that we need. And so I want to make sure that we've thought about, rather than just disallowing it, right?
Well, we allow a double deep, and we continue to allow
Yeah,
it.
so I think we need to clarify. We're prohibiting disinterments of the double deep. We're not prohibiting burials of double deep. So a disinterment is when you're digging them up, and that's the safety
correct.
issue of being in the deep hole with materials that were buried
Years ago.
years and years ago, and it's
Yeah.
a safety issue. We're not prohibiting people from being buried double deep moving forward.
Got it.
An internment we do.
So
Disinterments
give me
we
an
do not
example
do.
of when you would do a
Determent.
disinterment.
As long as I've been here, we've only done, we've done a few. We've done one court order.
Like
and
for an
then-
autopsy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've done a couple where the families have moved them to a different cemetery. So, you know,
Okay.
and
So-
most of those have been like a child or a baby,
Or one
right?
with the family or something?
Yeah, so,
Okay, so this isn't common,
no,
but we just want to make sure there's a policy regarding it.
right.
But moving forward, they can bury them for interments double deep.
Currently, yes, we allow it.
Okay.
When we move into the pipe plant area, I don't think we will allow it, so.
Why is that though?
We're not sure what's underneath the ground out there, so I don't know that we want to go too awful deep. That's my own opinion, but
Okay. So this doesn't have anything to do with double deep
burials?
burials.
No.
This is just if we say, okay, no disinterment, and we have a court order that says we have to do that,
That's
what
when
happens?
we talk with Tina.
You'll be digging them up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The last one we dug on was Halloween.
Kind
It
of
was
a
a really
shovel.
fun
So
time.
this is just, request for moving or moving of Kate.
Family members or
All right,
whatever.
that's all. Thank you.
So in the policy changes, we've added a headstone inspection fee. This is for us to go out and make sure they're putting the headstone in the right place, doing an inspection on that and recording it. We've also redefined the resident in the policy to match what's going to be in the ordinance. We've asked for 2 working day notice on all pending funeral services. In the past, it was 24. We've added a new form and gone away from 3 other forms. We've just condensed one form into that cemetery affidavit. This is for transfer of burial rights and those types of things. Again, no double deep disinterment, just to match the ordinance. And then we did a spring cleanup. We changed that just to begin in March. And then there was some like numbers on how, we just updated numbers, took the pages out and then corrected the index, so.
The fee on the headstone, is that just because you have to see it or make sure that?
Yeah, we've had a few lately, well, not lately. Over the years, we've had a few that have been put in the wrong spot by mortuaries. And so it's just wise for us to make sure there was no damage done to the headstone on the installation, that we don't get billed for later, right? We've had to repair a couple headstones this year because we've damaged them. But we just don't want to be paying for something that we did.
That's a
Or
good
did
idea.
not do, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks,
You
Jan.
too.
So let me address what Dion was alluding to. As we expand our cemetery, we'll bring that back and have that discussion on the double deep, of the recommendation of staff, whether we want to continue to do that or not. So we're making sure that the council has opportunity to share their thoughts on that, but we're not quite there yet. Okay, I want to cover item 10B, which is a proclamation proclaiming Pleasant Grove City supports what's being termed as Restore the G. When we met with the committee that we're a part of with the school, one of the things they asked is for the city to do a proclamation to, in essence, get awareness out there about what's going on with this project. The big thing that we need on your radar, and I've sent you an appointment for your calendars, is next Wednesday, the 9th at 6:30 p.m. will be the fundraising kickoff event. This event will have a program. The mayor will be speaking, principal of the high school will be speaking. There's going to be a video that's being done by the high school where they've interviewed some of the people that were around when the G was initially put in there. When they revamped it a few years back. The mayor
35
has
years.
photos.
35 years.
35, few years back. 35
If we go
years
back
ago.
when it was put in, it's going to be hard to
That's
find
the
those people.
20s. Yeah. The revamp is what I was alluding to, and people that were involved in that. So
That would be fun, though, to see if we could find.
Yeah, that would be a determinant.
so at our last,
Yes. And if they're double deep, we can't do it.
you guys haven't adopted that yet, so there's still time. We've got another hour or so.
Unless.
So that's going to be the kickoff. We got a sneak preview of part of the video. The video really looks cool. It's going to be a nice thing to kind of generate excitement. The school district is taking the lead on the fundraising. The city's taking the lead on really the construction part of this. So the mayor and I and Dion, we met with Horrocks last week and started talking about getting a cost estimate and then engineering the plans and getting that thing ready so that this thing can be bid, hopefully by the middle of summer, and constructed. I figure it's going to take a couple months to get this constructed. The intention is going to be to take out the mesh and have it be a little bit more of a hard surface, similar to the Y, if you've been up to the Y in Provo. They're kind of going after that model is what they're looking for. So anyway, that's what the proclamation will really be, kind of an announcement from the city that this is all happening for item B. I think everything else we'll get to when we get to our meeting. These items that we've talked about in work session, I think, are pretty standard and non-controversial. So when we get to the meeting, we'll just ask you if you have any further questions, and then you can be in a position to take a vote on it. So that's all we have, Mayor.
Scott,
Okay.
on the G project, can you just kind of send an email and writing about what's going on? I mean, I still don't know who's on the committees, who's doing what, who's assigned, what the fundraise. I just feel like I don't still know a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd love to promote it. Is there a website? Is there social media? Can you just send an email kind of breaking down the project timeline with Horrocks, timeline with the entire project?
Yeah.
It's still a work in progress, so we don't have all that yet. So
We
we're
have
still
some of
working
it.
on
I think we have
some
some
of
of
it.
it, but not all of that. But I think I understand what you're saying. I'll just download whatever we know
Yeah.
at the moment. Because like I said, the school is running the fundraising. I'm not sure the details of the things that they're doing on the fundraising side of that. I do know that they have it set up that you can go to the Pleasant Grove High School website, and there's a link on there that you can donate. And I'm assuming that's what you're getting at, right?
Well, and what does restore the G mean? Is this a type of material? Are we doing cement? Are we refinishing what's up there? Are we lighting it? I just don't know the details like that. And so
We
when
don't know
people-
yet.
Yeah, some of that we
But
know.
I'm
and
just,
some
I know we don't know the final details, but what we do know, because I've had questions and I don't know how to respond. I don't even know what restore the G.
I'll send you out
Well,
everything that I know.
Maybe just a question, maybe just for Sid, maybe what would help me is how can people get involved? What's being done and how can people get involved to help in that cause?
Yeah, that's what the kickoff, I think, is the intention of that, is to start the awareness side of this. I mean, because it has not been necessarily promoted. There's still materials I know that the high school is working on that they want to present out to the public. Again, the fundraising side of it, we're not super involved in.
And they're promoting it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're gonna create the
Along with the
materials, that will
Right.
promote it too as
We'll
well.
promote it too.
But they're still in process of creating the materials that's gonna go out. Like I said, I'll download everything I know, I'll put that in an email and send
But
it
like
out
what-
to you.
Like what did we send to Horrocks for engineering? Like, that's what I mean, like, what are we, I just don't know details like that. So I know things aren't final, we're still in the discovery mode, but what are they engineering? Like, what is the possibility? I just want to be able to answer questions if. No, not even necessarily cost, because we've already estimated the 350,000
Well,
for the project, but.
I mean, we're not sure on materials yet, we're not sure
Yeah.
on cost.
But what's even being considered? That's
Well,
why I just
we don't know that yet. I mean, we met with them and said, you know, here's some ideas. So
But-
we brought up the idea of the
So a
why.
resident called me and said cement.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, it'll be cement. We don't know if it's gonna be
That's cement.
shotcrete or concrete, but we're gonna concrete it. The aluminum's going away,
Okay.
said.
Well,
Okay.
well, that's what I want, that's the information that
It's
would
gonna
be
be
helpful.
But,
concrete.
And
well,
we do know that there's gonna be lights.
let me download everything I've got.
Okay, that
I'll
would be
email it to
helpful.
you, and then you guys can ask follow-up questions if you have some regarding that. Some of these details have been worked out, some just haven't at that point, so.
Okay, just what we know up to this point
Yeah.
would be great, thank you.
I think that's everything. I will, before we adjourn for our work session, I will remind the council this evening that we've got, we've got three public hearings, and in our, also our open session, and I would remind the council that our council meeting is not an open meeting, and I mean, to that, I mean, I will give you plenty of time for you to make your remarks. In regards to what? In regards to anything that comes up. I don't want council members to get in a debate with anybody on a public hearing. Okay?
Yeah.
Or on an open session item, we'll get back with them. We start regressing to that, and that we'll just open up the door for a big debate every time we come in there. So I just remind you of that. So I will give you plenty of time to, when it comes back up to council, to debate it and whatever. So anyway, with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll be adjourned